What's up everyone, we've got another image sent in and we're going to be working with this one right here. So here's sent in the raw file for this image and we're going to be trying to get the exact same edit. So as always, I'll be putting his links down in the description, so go give him a follow down there guys, let him know you found him through this tutorial. And yeah, if we come down, look at this image, you can see we've got really rich tones in those shadows, a little bit of warmth to the shadows, a little bit of a fade, and then we're going to have to do some brushing and sharpening to really bring out the face and the eyes and such. So let's get into Lightroom, links down in the description guys, go give him a follow down there and let's get into it. Unedited image that he has sent us and the edited one over here. So first things first, over here we don't want any vignetting, we don't want dark corners, we want nice straight edges. So let's come up and let's cool down the image a bit, because as you can see we've got quite a red tint to a lot of this image. Bring it down and then maybe shifting a few more of those purples and reds out by just moving the tint a little bit and get a little bit more of a green there. Okay, so let's chuck in quite a bit of contrast, and obviously that looks like too much, but we're gonna smooth it out with the curves real soon. And we'll bring up the shadows, so that's gonna get rid of a lot of that as well. Highlights we want nice and soft on her face, so let's bring them down and bring the blacks up. So we've taken out a lot of that contrast already, but then we can smooth it out with the curves here, and I've actually already done the curves, so I'll just show you what I did. So we want real rich tones, and I find getting rich tones, you want deep curves, especially in the shadows or close to the blacks. So for example, I'll just touch up some of these, so bring up the blacks a bit more. It's a little too harsh. And maybe the highlights come down a bit more. Okay, and just remember, adding contrast in with the curves down here and up here is very different. So some people ask why add contrast up here if you're just going to do it in the curves. It affects the image differently, and I've explained it a few times that the shifting these curves brings out detail that you can see, and then shifting the curve here, it sometimes brings out detail, but most of the time it's just going to affect how harshly it affects those areas. So, okay, let's move on to this. So I brought down this point and moved it close to the blacks because I want a quick fall off to those shadows. So if I brought it this way, you can see, for example, we get too much of a harsh shadow here, or if I just more reasonable amount, too much of a harsh shadow there. I'd rather it be closer to the blacks, because then it affects the blacks, the darkest areas, a lot, and kind of leaves the softer shadows alone. So the softer shadows are over here, the harsher ones, almost the blacks, are over here, and I just want to affect those the most, and then it quite quickly leaves the softer shadows soft. So that's why I've shifted this point over here to there. Okay, so moving on, let's drop the vibrance. So the vibrance is going to get rid of the colors that are in the brighter areas. So and saturation will just affect the image the same. But saturation I'm going to bring up because I want rich tones in the shadows. So you can see where the shadows are. You can see there's a lot of red and orange in there. And it looks really nice. It gives the image a lot of punch. So I want lots of colors in there. So I'm going to keep the saturation up. And we're a bit too saturated all over. So I'm just going to quickly drop the saturation up for quite a few of these colors. So just roughly bring So I'm just going to roughly bring down the reds, the oranges can come down, some yellows. Okay, so you might think I've brought them down too much, but I'm going to add in even more richness into the editing with the color curves. It's one of the best ways to make colors pop. So just a real slight S curve in these is going to really bring out those colors. So let's get into that. I'll do them and then explain what I've done. Okay, so that's the curves finished. Now I'll just try to show you what I've done. So I've just done the slightest S curve because doing an S curve in these channels will give you a nice color pop and lots of richness to your colors. So what I've tried to do is just try to get these same tones over here. So for example, we wanted a nice kind of yellow to the highlights here. And if I take blue out, you can see it gets much warmer in the highlights there. And then same midtones, it gets much cooler. And now we get a bit too much of a blue. And then I made sure this point was quite close to the blacks, because again, that the closer it gets to the blacks, I find the more richer the colors are going to be, because you're really affecting the darker colors that are in the shadows. And then, so if you pull green out of the highlights, you get a bit too much purple there. And then same for the shadows, starts to go a bit too purple. And then I'm doing this in combination with working with the HSL sliders most of the time, going back and forth, but we sort of nailed it here. So for example, there was a bit too much redness in it at the start. We sort of took it out with the tint here by lowering the tint a little, but you could have done that maybe pulling a bit more of the reds out of the midtones, but we kind of want that. So I think I left maybe so I took a bit more blue out of the shadows than the other places, and taking blue out gives you really warm colors, and I wanted quite a bit of warmth in those shadows and darker areas, so that's why I probably pulled that down a little bit more. Same in the midtones, I want those nice warm colors, so pull a bit more of those blues out. So hopefully you get that. Just doing simple S curve. This one is so subtle because we already have quite a bit of contrast in there. And just explaining the highlights up here, we've got quite a flatness to the highlights over in this image, so just thought I'd bring them down over here. Bring them down and you almost lose a bit of detail in those areas, but that's sort of the style we want. We want that flat look in the highlights, so brought them down there and over here. Okay, so hopefully that helps. Do that. Let's try to brighten some things up. So luminance, let's try to brighten a few of these tones. Yellows. So greens doesn't do a heck of a lot to the greens, so yellows does most of that. Can bring that up a lot. Let's brighten a bit of the skin. So we've got the oranges here, just a bit. Reds, just a bit. Greens. Okay, so we're missing a bit of a yellow to the skin. We're looking a little cold, and we could try to fix that by going into the curves and then pulling a bit more blue out of the midtones. But I'm going to try to do it with the HSL sliders, because when you do try to fix your colors in this curve, you're going to affect the contrast as well very slightly. So you want to keep that nice and subtle. You don't want to do any real drastic pulls with the curve. So I'm going to try to shift these oranges to more of a yellow. And then because we did that, we've sort of lost the amount of red and richness in those shadows. So the reds that are sort of in those shadows, I'm going to shift to more of a purple or a richer red. Okay, so the yellows, they're sort of a bit too yellow. We need to make them more green, so shifting them this direction. Alright, aquas, nothing there. These blues, so there's only a tiny bit of blue in this image. You can see it's quite a teal. We look a little more on the purple side, going this way. Very little purples, very little magenta. Okay, saturation. Let's just bring back a few more of those oranges. About there. Yellows. That grass back there. Probably need to bring that back up. So to the shadows, I just want to add a bit of warmth. So if we go to split toning, maybe you should have done this before working with the HSLs, but I just want to add a bit of warmth because I haven't quite got enough warmth into the shadows. You can do it with the curves here, so I could be like, I want more warmth in the deep shadows, could do it like this, but it's quite hard to get the perfect tone you want, because you have to do, okay, take a bit of green out, take a bit of red out, and then you might get the perfect shade of orange you want. Or you can come to split toning and just, I want an orange, and I'll just put a bit in there. You can see what that's doing. Just slightly puts a little bit of warmth into those shadows there. I think that helps a lot. Okay. Okay, we'll keep going. Let's saturation. Don't think there was much aqua as well, but we'll bring it down just so it kind of matches up with the blues. Bring the blues down a bit. Luminance, I think we're about good. Okay, just checking we've done everything. Sharpening, we want to really sharpen this image. So we'll bring it right up. And then if you hold Alt, or hold Option, you can see the exact lines you're sharpening. So we don't want to sharpen too much of your skin. So we're going to slide it about up to there, and you can see that's going to really bring out her eyes, her hair, and her lips. So let's do that. Okay, so that makes a big difference before and after of the sharpening. Okay, right. Let's do some brushing in that now. Okay, let's grab brushes, and I've already placed all the brushes, so I'll just show you what we've done. Actually, we'll start with a filter over her face here, and I want to take out a few shadows for the face just to brighten it a bit. Bit more flattering, taking out some shadows. Okay, onto brushes. If we grab this one, you can see it's affecting her entire face here. So the goal is to make her skin look nice and soft, so clarity can come down. We have already added in quite a bit of sharpening. It wasn't affecting too much of her skin, but it was affecting a little bit, so I'm going to bring sharpening down as well. And then if you slide noise, to remove noise, it can slightly get rid of can work to smooth the skin as well. I'll try that, and then we're good there, I think. Okay, other brush. So the eyes is what I want to work on. If we, this one, okay, over all the eyes, we want to up the exposure. Just get rid of the red. Up the exposure. I'll leave it about there. Clarity. So it's going to make them look very crisp. You don't want to overdo it, but we'll put in some. And then sharpening, just for a bit more. So maybe if I can zoom in. Okay, so that's how it affects. If I turn it, I reset it, So that's before, and that's after, just the brush on the eyes there. Okay, so we want to bring out the irises and the colors in our eyes. So we've got, right, let's do that. So if I just show you where this is affecting, that's where we've painted, that's what we want to affect. And we want to bring up exposure. Let's add a little bit of clarity just to make them look a little crisp. And then saturation to get those colors to come out a bit more. Don't want to overdo it. That's how much we'll do. Okay, coming back out. Let's mess with a brush over the hair now. So I'll just show you where this is affecting all the hair. And what we want to do for this one is up the contrast. And really up the clarity, just to bring out the texture of the hair. It doesn't matter if the texture of her hair looks quite rough. Sort of, we want to bring that out. Okay, that looks pretty good there. Okay, so final touches. I think I want to take out a bit of green out of the highlights. I think we've got a little bit too much in the skin there. And then when I take green out, it's going to introduce a bit more purples and reds. So I'll just very slightly take some of that out. And that is maybe too much. So I'll try again. Even that is too much. And that might do it. Okay, so I'll also just bring back a little bit of vibrance. Just get a little bit of that color pop back. And then I'm gonna chuck up sharpening all the way. So when you export images out of Lightroom, they do appear a little sharper than before you export them. So I'm pretty confident this will be as sharp as this one. It's just that in Lightroom things tend to be a little softer. Otherwise we could try adding more sharpening to the eyes there. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I might just drop the yellows a bit where the grass is. Okay, I think that looks a little better. And yeah, I'll probably just leave it there, guys. It looks pretty close. So if you can, comment down below who you guys want to see. That way I can reach out to them on Instagram, ask them to send in a photo and do a tutorial on them. So really, really helps me if you do that. Go give him a follow down in the description, guys. All his links will be down there. It's pretty awesome work over there. And there'll be a link to the model as well, so go give her a follow as well. If you're after video color grading, you like Luts and that, check the links, because there'll be links to a whole lot of video tutorials, color grading tutorials, so make sure you look for that. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Check out the presets if you're liking these tutorials. I know you guys will like that with all the awesome feedback I've been getting. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Catch ya in the next one.